Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm so sorry for the re-upload if you're one of the few people who watched my premiere earlier of this video, but the audio quality was super terrible and I do not know why, so I ended up having to completely redo the audio on this video, which was a bit frustrating since I put a lot of work into it. For people who are not a YouTuber, which is probably most of the general population, a 10-minute video will take about 2 hours for me to edit, so it really made me frustrated that I had to redo it. That being said, however, it's only the audio that I was redoing, so maybe it won't take so long. So now that the audio quality is all better, now I must apologize for the video quality, because with my luck, once I tried to fix the audio, I accidentally deleted all of the files, so I had to screen record my video on YouTube and then put it into the app that I use to edit. So the quality of the video is not the best either. Now before I continue, I'm just going to start off by saying I am in no way trying to complain. I'm just trying to explain why I had to re-upload the video. Anyway, on to the tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a simple landscape using AEM High Arts watercolors. The last time I checked on Amazon, the original price of these paints cost around $40. However, they are on sale for $10 off. That being said, I cannot guarantee how long that discounted price will last, so if you want to buy this set for yourself, I would recommend buying it as soon as possible while it is still that price. I will put links in the descriptions down below. One link will be to their website, and the other link will be to Amazon. The reason why I will put both is that on their website, they do not sell directly to you, they will only direct you to Amazon to buy it for yourself. If you want in-depth information about their products or have any questions, you can review their website and contact them. This set includes 24 tubes of watercolors, 3 different brushes, watercolor paper, and a palette. Since my personal preference is to keep my watercolors in a tin watercolor palette, I went ahead and bought a palette that could hold 24 empty half pans to fill with watercolor. I ended up cutting out some of the footage of me filling all the half pans because some of it ended up off camera. After I let the watercolors dry in a palette for a couple of days, I decided to swatch their colors on their watercolor paper that they provided. Prior to starting the piece, I took my spray bottle and sprayed the water onto the paints to reactivate them. As I let them soak, I started off by using the wet on wet technique. Now if you have not seen some of my videos before, you are probably familiar with this technique. If not, here's a short summary. The wet on wet technique is when you wet the paper prior to putting the pigment onto the page. The wet on wet technique works best on good watercolor paper that can soak in water. The best paper I would recommend for this technique would be 100% cotton paper. Now on the cover I could not find any information about the paper, other than that it was made out of recycled paper. However, from how well the water soaked into the paper and how the paper dried almost completely flat when I removed the washi tape, I believe that is made of a decent amount of cotton. After completely wetting the paper, I started off by placing ultramarine, violet, and crimson onto the page. The great thing about watercolors is that they are very easy to blend and create a nice gradient. As a result, you shouldn't have too much trouble blending the colors out. How I was able to get the perfect circle was I took an empty roll of washi tape and put tissue around it, then pressed it onto the wet paper. But if you don't have anything round that you can wrap your tissue with, I think using a tissue would be just fine too. Using the same colors I used for the background, I added in some strokes to add some depth and texture into the piece. The wet on wet technique allows me to layer the colors, so it makes it appear that the color I used was darker even though they're exact same colors. Anyway, the colors I used to make the water was cerulean blue. While I was recording the piece, I actually did not like it at all, but since the piece required me to let it completely dry before I continued painting, I decided to take a step back and take a break while I let it dry. Anyway, something I noticed when I tore out the paper, I accidentally tore the end a bit uncleanly, so I had to get my paper cutter and make the edge cleaner. But as I was swatching the colors, I was really excited to see how bright they were, and I was happy to see that there were a lot of neutral colors that would make good skin tones for portraits I would want to paint in the future. When I was swatching them, I painted in every other box, so the colors had time to dry before I went in with the color next to it. Doing so keeps the color from bleeding into each other and muddying up. After I was done swatching the colors, I laminated the swatch card just to make it look nicer. Anyway, taking the black, I added in some either mountains or hills. I'm not quite sure what I want them to be just yet. But the good thing about watercolors is that you can layer them so you can create the illusion of distance, making some of the hills, I'll just call them hills, making some of the hills look closer or farther depending on how many times you layer it. I did end up painting some birds just for fun, and I also tried to attempt painting a ship, though it doesn't look that good. But you know what? I'm still really happy with how the piece turned out, so I wasn't too upset. And after I was done with all of that, I decided to add in some of the lines that created depth into the picture, just because whenever I added them in earlier, the paper was still a bit wet, so the colors muddied up a bit, so I just added some lines to clean it up. And for this portion of the video, I do apologize for the lighting being a bit dark, just because when I was painting this, it was pretty late at night, and I couldn't do much about the lighting except have a lamp, which wasn't that strong. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking for a bit just so you can enjoy watching me paint the piece. And I think we're about done. After this, I'm just going to sign this piece and take the tape off, and we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you want. And if you want to see some of my artwork that I don't post on this channel, feel free to check out my Instagram, Artist Therapy, and I will put a link to my account down below. If you want your artwork featured on my channel, just check out the details in the description down below if you're interested. And before I close the video, I'll end by saying that I'm going to start posting on a regular schedule on Mondays and Thursdays. I haven't completely decided what time I want to post just yet, so make sure to turn on your notification bells just so you know when I post a video. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next video. Take it easy, guys.